Point is that after making a mistake, we need to face up to it. We need to tell the truth. That is integrity, telling the truth and honoring promises no matter the consequences.
They call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation. They call me a god. 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 I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I'm called of God! Called of God. And she says, Tim Ballard told me he'd been called of God. Some wild-eyed prophet, like...
Love me tender, love me sweet, never let me go. You have made my life complete, and I love you so.
Exhibit B. DS's statement regarding Operation Underground Railroad. Summary: many times he touched me in sexual ways, though not always close to private parts, but definitely trying to create a sexual connection by the words he spoke and the ways he touched. Definitely getting a fill and trying to turn me on as well. He would often ask about my sexual life and what turns me on and what I'm willing to do with my boyfriend, etc. He also expressed some jealousy about guys I dated and felt rejected when I wasn't responding to his touch as he expected. Most of these touches were unnecessary, other than to create chemistry, because we weren't with traffickers or in settings trying to fool anyone. It was often while we were alone in a private place. He frequently asked with bewilderment why I was single. On the first mission, he said that if anything happened to Catherine, he would marry me. On another occasion, almost a year later, he said if he was single, he would marry me. One of the donors with us on a trip mentioned that he had said this about Alana, SP, the Ukrainian operator as well. And clearly he said it too, name redacted for privacy. There was no care or training of operators during the missions. Not before, not after. I would arrive home, useless, for my kids and family and work until I could process what had just happened. As well, I broke my foot on a training in Budapest and was not able to go on ops for a while after that. So, I lost that revenue stream as well as the ability to run my home and business. Being unable to walk was financially devastating. Other times of neglect include when I was left at a large home in Mexico alone with one other woman all night, forgotten by anyone else on the team. She left the next day, and they had still forgotten about me. I was alone and they were going to the airport. without me, but fortunately stopped back at the house to grab something and were completely surprised I was still there. On the ops. I was an afterthought. I wasn't often asked for my experiences or perspective on what had happened. It became increasingly clear this was not about putting together strategies to rescue. Our forensics team wasn't passing evidence they found, but we were doing all the fishing on the ground. Tim spent very little time explaining the missions and the targets and the victims, and an excess amount of time discussing sexual things. He encouraged me to buy very expensive and provocative clothing to play the part. He became increasingly sexually perverse. At least twice I was afraid when he was on top of me and dry humping on a bed. The first time he then went into the bathroom and masturbated. The second occasion I was scared and unable to tell him as he became more aggressive. He tapped his finger firmly behind my vagina to bring out sexual feelings. He wanted me to go do tantric massages and other more intense practices than we had done previously. He began justifying oral, nudity, and bed sharing. And ultimately, when I refused to do something I felt was criminal, he was demeaning and punishing. I told Coop about it, and he was definitely very concerned. But no repercussions. I now see so many contradictions between how he protected himself with little concern for me, while creating in me a determination to risk everything to protect him and us. Interesting that it took him a while to detox from Brian Black mode, but never had the concern that we might need to as well before hitting home and getting back to real life. He's in danger, but we are not. He needs to have Hollywood-level help to become disguised, but we don't. His family needs help and protection while he's away, but ours don't. He doesn't need to eat, so why would we? He doesn't need to sleep, so why would we? I recently learned to beware of people who are talking about others. They are talking about you too. I have a very good reputation with those who know me personally. And he left in his trail a steady distrust of me among those who otherwise trust me fully. He greatly facilitated my mindset that compelled me to consider doing what I did. He told me that after we met last year, he remembered me and would have known me if he had seen me at the mall or in any crowd. He meets hundreds of thousands of people, but he would have known me. There was something different. We connected in a way that was so rare for him. Even through high school, he never felt connected to anyone and started to wonder what was wrong with him. Catherine was one of the only women he had ever really connected with. It was such an anomaly that he could feel connected to her, and so he knew he was supposed to marry her. Likewise, he felt so connected to me as if we had known each other forever and before. Like we had a previous relationship or were soul brother/sister. Operations DS participated on 2021 March 22nd to 27th, Maya April 12th to 17th, Maya 2 May 25th to June 8th, Cancun/Cozumel/BVI June 19th to 23rd, Miami/Cancun/Cozumel. July 5th to 9th, Cancun. 2022, February 16th to 21st, Nueva Luna, Cancun. March 8th to 14th, Media Luna, DR, May 13th to 19th, Budapest Training July 31st to August 4th, FL Training October 24th to 30th, Mariachi Re-Engagement. 2023, February 8th to 10th, Founders Mariachi. I was initially offered $250 per day, a super low operator rate compared with my other services, which made it a financial strain to go out for days and weeks at a time. There were many hidden costs of both leaving and being involved, which were not well compensated, especially taking into consideration the time required to prepare before an op and recoup after, the all-day/night schedule away from family and other life essentials/activities/opportunities, let alone the risks of this particular endeavor, which isn't offset on a contract basis like it might be with a long-term or salaried and benefited employee. I finally settled for $500 per day, which was still less than my professional day rate, which doesn't demand all-night work, time away, and personal risk, let alone require me to be on call for the unpredictable travel schedules and op follow-through missions. I felt incredibly undervalued with low compensation, long travel times, expectations for random availability, never knowing when we would eat or sleep, we rarely did either, and then zero contact after operations by anyone other than Tim, and that contact was on his terms only. Summary of events March 2021. In my studio, Tim flirts, tells me he's not a sex addict, Di tells Tim to watch it, Romeo. Century Bank office hair dye / cut and tattoos. Conversations around being waxed, doing whatever is required without hesitancy, how open I am to the work and requirements. Mexico City sneaking out to the guest house to apply tattoos, Tim begins the touching, feels increasingly connected and asks Janet about our relationship in past lives, asks if I'm embarrassed to leave the door open while I'm applying my bronzer in the bathroom. Tim acts caught when DJ comes down the stairs and we're lying on the couch. Cancun time in the ocean, discomfort with closeness and pushing back. Coop sees us on the beach holding hands and Tim worries about being caught. Says, I can't cheat on Catherine, and I reassure him that will never happen with me. Calls me into his room while he was reading scriptures and comments about how connected he feels, how he wishes we could stay close at night, how if anything happened to Catherine he would marry me. Tim wants to stay in my room, on separate bed. I refuse. He later tells me how he felt rejected. DJ takes me to lunch and berates me for my role. I had no idea this wasn't standard procedure and am shocked. On flights recounts stories of deep betrayal, including a previous operator who insisted on kissing him. And he was furious so he can't work with her anymore. From those he had worked closely with, how depression and suicidal ideation had overtaken him, how he has a hard time being home. Asks me if I would please pray because he trusts my connection with the Lord. I pray aloud as we put our heads together. Comes to my house and can't resist touching me, is saddened when I scoot away from him on the couch. April 2021. Second op. This time I'm brought on as primary team. Tim makes sure we have a house with a hot tub. Touches inappropriately, specifically intent on trying to turn me on, asking me if I had come. Went to a strip club in the evening, spent an hour in a private room with a topless woman who tried to seduce us. He faked oral on me. I had a physical traumatic response when we left the club. Tim still wants to continue hunting, so we entered a brothel where they introduced us to a lineup of prostitutes. He was deciding who we should take back into a room. I was not up for it. Asks me constantly how I separate the feelings and can turn it off when we're not on the town or specifically playing the role of a sexually heightened couple. 3 May 2021. Mission in Cancun / Cozumel, planning business venture with Maria Chi. Redemption Island in BVI. Tim kisses me on the forehead as an intentional goodbye to Brian and Lisa. Then largely ignores me for the week until Catherine leaves and we're about to start our fishing mission. He apologizes for his treatment and hopes we can reconnect before going on to the other islands to search for traffickers. July 2021. July 5. Woke 5:45 to ready SEG and Tim, hair dyed blue / tats / piercings, and left at 8 in Premier Black car service for airport, SLC to Cancun. Happy shuttle to Breathless, they wouldn't let us in due to improper ID. Barely missed Rigo's boss, so he paid Rigo $12,000 cash to meet us at another place with his boss, then raced to Coco Bongo to meet Rigo. Hotels were mostly full, we found and stayed in a Hyatt. Dinner at Mexican buffet, conversations with Sack / Sean, more with Mark Mabry. July 6. Hyatt hotel water turned off at midnight to almost 7 a.m. I called for compensation and let check out. Went to eat at Mercado Buffet, then Omar brought us to a safe house. Completed copy editing, had debriating. July 7. Woke 10:30, woohoo, visit with Sean / Sachs, swim briefly, beach run, copy editing, Zoom with Brian / Tom, Heather Moss itinerary walkthrough. Tim invites me to weekend training in Nashville, our filmed interview, out in Cancun Queens Club. Sean trailed by white shirt, paid Nicole for life coaching. Paid medical billing. July 8 debriefing, Tim tells team he's backing away from ops. We head to private airport. Chris Frederick greets us and tells us about his plane, then we all fly to Miami for customs and fuel, then on to Sarasota. July 9 fly from SQ to ATL to SLC, NAP, Heather's concert. October 2021, our training. October 14 packing, cleaning our training, team meetup, run Liberty Park, body drag. October 15-1 ST-aid, Osint, Humint, dinner, clubs. Tim is asking about my boyfriend, how far I've gone with him, and if now I'm going to be hesitant to be as sexual with Tim. October 16 CrossFit asks me to be witness to what happened in hotel room with the trainee who tried to seduce him and get him to finger her. October 17 aftercare training, actors meeting, meet with students in shifts. Talks, with his son Blaine present, about the potential operator who wanted him to finger F her in the hotel room, embarrassingly crude. With trainees in mock situation. Drove home 10 p.m. Alex texted about puppy, grieved until wee hours. October 26 Dr. Sundwali, start Prozac. February log 2022. February 12th. Tim texted me about urgent meeting. February 16 Tim arrives 7:30 a.m. to dye hair and place tats, black car Uber out at 8:15. Fly to FLL, then drive to Fisher Island yacht dinner with Lexi, Diane, Romero, Airbnb closed so stayed with Lexi in her guest bedroom. February 17 slept until noon, lunch on beautiful new Italian marble table, ready for Lisa, drive to Miami office. Team meet with donors, etc. Mar-log 2022. Fisher Island insists I meet him at a hot tub. Tells me all about the tantric massage with Jen, which he said she was excited to take back to her marriage. He learned some techniques in tantric and wanted to show me. He said, I'm going to do something. I promise. I won't touch you. Trust me. Then places his finger between my legs, just behind my vagina, and taps firmly 6 times to bring out the chakra or something. March 12th. Sat. Oatmeal pancakes, swim in pool, debrief with Brian at safe house, leave for blue door, meet Jay, quick. Intros, settle upstairs in large room, 4, drinks by pool, with a live performing saxophonist, where Jay introduced me to his 3 Latino girls and said the Ukrainian and Russian would come that evening. Visited with Jay briefly about property next door that he heard I was interested in. He owns a unit in the apartment adjacent to the lot. I let him know I'm definitely interested, but won't get into details about it until I have a first-hand experience here. I express things like so far. I love the vibe, privacy, and setup. He told me he has the best chef/staff, at which point we discussed the beautiful dinner he had in store, and the fact that this is where my freak flag flies. I'm vegetarian. He assured me it was no problem, they would take good care of me, but needed to let the chef know right away. Dinner inside with girls, 3 Latino, Alfredo dish, pink sauce, prepped especially for me. Jay mentioned the other girls would be returning soon. He has just helped arrange for Carolina's mother to escape Ukraine on a night train to Poland. Jay introduced me to the 2 new arrivals. Let me introduce you to Lisa. She is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I thanked him with a smile and tease about not knowing whose hearsay he's going on, but he said, oh, you are, believe me, I know. He later told someone I was as authentic as they come. He knows my type well. Lisa is a baller bitch. I visited for a while with the girls, Carolina, Ukrainian, Lana, Russian, who clarified that they are good friends. They said the government is at war, but they are not. We talked about how it has affected them each, that they are in dismay that that is actually happening in their town. Their friends and family send pics of everything that has been destroyed, and yet Russia is lying to the people about it. They've even had Russian friends, who believe the propaganda that the Russian army has been entering Ukraine to give them aid, call them out as liars for spreading false, as if their Russian friends know better than those who live there and are documenting it. Carolina's mother almost didn't make it as she went back into her home, refusing to leave the house without her dog. We discussed many ethereal ideas, including that of taking flight in our lives and my many tattoos with wings. Lana showed me her back tat with wings as well. More drinks, a surprise show, with 3 girls whom Jay said come every 2 weeks to perform with fully revised costumes, choreography, and music. Then a summon to Brian to go to bed alone with me. In panties atop stairs with drinks, Nate and some girls saw, offered a warning that we would miss the party. Cassie entertained at the bar. 5, March 13th, Sun. Beach run/workout/coffee, meet Andrew and mini sermon, share faith, breakfast in backyard with Brian/Melissa, dress and leave for Cabernet in safe house, massage places, COVID tests, back to Blue for dinner/drink/Russian/Ukrainian. Massage number 1, hair salon front, dead end, don't have what we're looking for. Started our drive to Sosua. Gabriel said he and Alejandro had stopped at a coffee shop that was definitely not serving coffee. Brian had him turn around and drive us back to those cafe/massage places. They were closed on Sundays. So we stopped at a different place where we could ask the ladies sitting outside about it. They reiterated that everything was closed today. As we walked back toward the car, we hit the cafe where we met Gregory, the secretary to his boss, the girl Daniela. Her 15-year-old daughter. Massage number 2, clearly trafficked, available in an hour. Client inside understood the conversation which took place in Spanish, responding in English, someone is already in here. We said we would come back. Massage number 3, seedy place, stole my glasses. Evening returned. Jay said I looked cute and asked about our day. He knew we had gone into Cabernet. I remained vague. We hadn't found clothes for Brian, but did enjoy the streets and getting to see the community. He explained it's a very small, tight community. He asked me to sit for a moment at his desk under the stairs and wanted to talk business. We connected on a few points as I asked about average square footage cost of new build, which he was uncertain about. Jason asked me to sit for a minute and talk about it. He told me the owners of the lot are good friends and have assured him they sell it to someone who would build a single home, not condos or apartments next door, in which Jay owns a bottom corner apt. They would do that to protect him and his business. He also considered purchasing it. I'll delve into details about why he hasn't next time. He had already told me too much that will be inadmissible as evidence. Jay told them to hold off the closing, which is supposed to happen end of March/1st of April, because he has a potential buyer. They are asking about $900K, and a home like his will cost approximate 1M, 7 bedrooms, completely finished, roughly $2 million project with lot purchase. When he said he was unsure footage price for new build with me, that he has an incredible agent/investor who will be glad to take me for a day and show me around. He will talk my ear off, awesome, but knows the area, movement, and availability better than anyone else. I mentioned I have a real estate attorney checking into some things as well, but might also really appreciate his contact's help. The more perspectives and info the better. He also tried to convince me to consider investing in someone, alluding to himself, who already has it figured out rather than trying to start fresh. He knows the sex industry there, has the clientele, has the police in his pocket, and is aware of the places that will not allow the ladies, and the guards are specifically paid not to, and there is no way to get them to allow it. The musician approached us from the backyard and Jay gave me a quick summation of his accolades. We were introduced and I took that opportunity to excuse myself to change for dinner. Jay complimented me on my looks when I came down and walked to the bar. My dinner was an eggplant goulash served outside by the pool. He sat me at the head so I could see the musician, who was Justin James, 2 beautiful kids, one boy around 7, one girl maybe 5, both half Dominican. Justin recently built a music studio in the area, in which he records and hosts many great celebrities. He came from LA, having toured for years with his guitar and songs, performing for us both covers and originals. I asked about which platforms I could find his music on, and he replied Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere. Dinner conversation points included I explaining how he was Jewish, not Orthodox, had made his wealth not been appreciated, so this is my FU life. He created a safe place where men and women could live out their fantasies and then go home to their real lives. It allows them to avoid the repression of day-to-day routines and life, keeps everyone healthier and happier. He showed me pics of his 2 darling girls, with whom he had a wonderful relationship until his ex-wife poisoned it by telling them what he did for a living. He knew she had told them because they called him directly to ask if it was true. They couldn't accept it, so cut ties with him. It is what it is. Caroline said her mother and grandmother are so proud of her for making something of herself and providing so well for them. She felt obligated to it since they had no other means. She has a very good life and couldn't possibly make this much elsewhere. Her family has no idea what work she does. Why? Because they couldn't accept it. We talked about how amazing it is that they get to live on the beach, eating like this every day. Lana agreed that it is a very good life. Unimaginably good. Even the chef is amazing. Every day he makes her a delicious salad and chicken, which is all she'll eat so she doesn't get fat. She avoids all desserts. For dessert, we were served Jay's banana pudding with crumble/caramel that he matched a recipe from New York's Magnolia Bakery. Thursday is the grand opening of his dessert cafe that will only serve this pudding. Nate, a bartender, will be going to work there permanently. I believe he said it's near his patron taco stand. Both women, Russian and Ukrainian, join us in the bedroom. Tim has been heavily drinking, asks me to do new boundary break of removing my top, asks me to take charge of the time in there, because I'm the boss, and asks me to push his head down into me so they believe we're going to have oral sex. He gets completely naked, he's sleeping drunk on floor until he climbs into bed. Prior to this evening we had insisted on separate beds. This night and the night before was a horribly disgusting situation as I, primarily, had to fend for Tim and even take the touching and sucking from the other women. I left incredibly vomitous and still want to throw up thinking about it. July 31st to August 4th, training. July 31st, me and SL at CD Motel 6 since our flight to JFK, where he planned to surprise me. He totally lied about things, with tantric massage before flying to Tampa. Wanted to discuss this new technique we could try where he placed his dick underneath me and it totally looks like we're having sex but we're not, so they're all completely fooled. Tim becomes desperate to get us into a sexy massage, offering cash up to $500 for the lady to find us a room so we can experience Niru massage. He tries to get me to get the massage therapist to take off her clothes. I refuse. That seemed criminal to me to ask, right here in SLC2. An innocent person. When I talked with him about it after, he was quite upset about being called out. Said she wasn't innocent, she was willing to give a hand job. He spoke disparagingly about me when Coop picked us up, saying I had gone soft. Ignored me most of the remainder of the trip, left me behind at the house rather than taking me to visit Tony Robbins, and took Elena alone to the clubs in the evening. Thank heavens I was spared from this. August 1st, early morning check-in to a loft hotel, Midtown, dinner with Will Witt at Sacred Pepper. 8 halves, early flight to Miami, taxi to Airbnb at 225 North Street, West Palm Beach. Spotlight on couples ruse. I was fine with the tactic and the risks associated only because I was brainwashed that they are needed. How do you know what's needed unless you're able to have a conversation about that? I believed Tim had been doing this for so many years, and I believed other operators had too, that this was standard procedure, and that it was the essential way to protect everyone involved. He lied to me about other women, ignored me between ops, demeaned me when I wouldn't go along with his sexual plans. I'm even okay being discarded as long as I can walk away with my head high and not need to be in those circumstances again. I'm not okay being lied about and disparaged when I have risked so much and given so much without an ask for appreciation, acknowledgement, money, or concern. And I'm not okay with staying silent when someone else is being lied about and discouraged publicly. What I didn't know until now was that he was telling other women the same things about me that he told me about them. He told several other women and some of his staff that I had fallen for him, tried to kiss him, and seduced him in bed. I didn't sign up for this. I'm at risk publicly, compromised and known on ops. I'm alone. My children need a mom. I'm exhausted and can't be present for my family. I burn the candle at both ends trying to provide. Now my small business is suffering as R has hindered my progress since May of 2022. No one really knows my story because I don't have just one story. I have 100. I'm the most at risk and feel the least protected and the least seen. September 7th, 2023. To whom it may concern. For several years, I have been aware of a relationship between Elder Ballard and Tim Ballard. Initially, I believed they were related not because of name only but also Tim's social media posts with pics showing his family spending time with Elder Ballard. When I asked, Tim did clarify that they are not direct family but are very close friends. Tim told me about some of the blessings he had received from Elder Ballard and said they met on a regular basis to discuss our proceedings. When I was first asked to go on undercover operations. Tim described the role. I would play and shared how he received revelation for the couple's ruse, which was specifically sanctioned by Elder Ballard as a brilliant way to keep both operators safe. Under the right circumstances, I thought going undercover as relationship partners is a fantastic plan to protect both of us from being expected to participate in heinous acts with captive women and children, so it made sense that it would have come from an apostle of the Lord. I only began to question Tim's claims when he needed constant reassurance that we weren't doing anything wrong. At the time, he was still concerned about compromising the temple covenants made with his wife. I found it extremely odd that he worried so frequently about whether we were acting appropriately and specifically asked me to confirm that we were in the right to be playing our roles. He worried aloud that he could not cheat on Catherine. His concern caused me, as a natural comforter, to engage regularly in this pattern of conversation. You received the idea of going in as a couple by revelation and immediately knew it as the answer you had been seeking, right? It was confirmed by Elder Ballard, right? And by going undercover as partners, we're protecting each other's chastity as well as preventing those we engage with from having to perform sexual acts, right? Your wife was just as enthusiastic about this ingenious way to protect you, right? We were carefully selected to save lives in a very unique way that God has trusted us to do, right? So it's a righteous cause and calling that came directly from heaven, right? Then we have no reason to be concerned. We can remain in the peace and faith that we have been and will be guided by the Lord. My eyes are now open to the real reason for Tim's concern. He was behaving with impure intent. He therefore used me to comfort him and regularly reaffirmed the righteousness of our roles and behavior. Doing so kept me lodged in a belief that God condoned anything we needed to do to gain the trust of human traffickers and other dangerous or evil people while keeping ourselves safe physically and spiritually. While I see how all that could be true at times and scripturally/spiritually justified, I don't believe it is in Tim's case. During the past couple of years, I have witnessed firsthand his degeneration into moral decay, mental illness, and harm to himself and countless others.